But as I get more comfortable, I want it to happen as my energy shifts in the forward direction. Avoid going too low because you have to imagine the anatomy of your opponent. You want to be spearing them in the solar plexus or the upper chest near the heart. Of course, there's many vulnerable targets from the solar plexus upward. Shift, twist, drop. If timing feels like it's an issue for you, slow your feet down. Your feet will determine what needs to happen and when. So if you want to buy more time to think, and whether it's a quarter of a second or a fifth of a second, these are small increments of time, but a lot can happen during that span. Just move your feet more slowly. Let's talk intent. Intent is very important because it will ensure you're focusing on the right parts of your body. On contact, I want my partner to feel like I'm trying to push through them. A shield that you're using and you're following 1, 2, 1, 2. And now at the kata, we have our first height change and weight shift. And by that I mean substantial height change and weight shift. So anytime that happens in a kata, we can assume it's to take advantage of the body mass and force that's created through that movement. So in this case, we're moving forward while dropping our weight and spearing with our elbow. This is tremendously powerful, and it's a very common technique in the kata. Let's start by looking at the stance. Now, this is often talked about as a horse stance or shikodachi. The Okinawan term is suegoshi dachi. Any of those would allow the principle to be harnessed. Essentially, I'm coming from a high position, shifting my weight to the balls of my feet, and then externally rotating my left foot while I sweep in and root with my right. At this point, my body's upright, my back foot is pushing into the mat so that if someone were to push on my body, I'd be able to resist them. By shifting forward, I'll transfer a lot of potential energy. However, by continuing to maintain pressure in the back, I can lengthen the time through which I deliver that energy. So not only is it a hit, but it's a hit that keeps pushing, and that can be a nice thing. Okay, so let's take a look at the lower body. We'll start with the forward position. I'm going to cut or externally rotate to about 90 degrees. This will vary based on each person's hip mobility, ankle mobility, and general athleticism. From here, my back foot is going to drive forward and then arc out, okay? This is contextual, meaning if there is something that I need to move around, I can do that. If there's something that I can encircle to then disbalance, I can do that as well. If there's nothing that provides me an advantage by moving in a circular fashion, I wouldn't do that. I'd move in a more direct fashion. So it's not right or wrong, it's just a question of, do you need it darker or lighter, for example? Shift, drop. Shift, twist, drop. Cut, shift, drop. Now when this is done a little bit more fluidly, I want to burst forward on the balls of my feet and cut as I move. So it's helpful when teaching students or when practicing yourself to, twist and then move, because this first piece can be paired with the blocking set position. And of course we want to connect movement and blocking together at a higher level. So it's helpful to have these key markers for practice. But as I get more comfortable, I want it to happen as my energy shifts in the forward direction. Let's take a look at it from the side. So I'm asked to begin with my left foot in front. I'm in Seichin dachi, which is a tall, somewhat natural stance. My foot is internally rotated, which means my toes are pointing in. From this point, I'll shift and lean, turn my foot, enter. Avoid going too low because you have to imagine the anatomy of your opponent. You want to be spearing them in the solar plexus or the upper chest near the heart. Of course, there's many vulnerable targets from the solar plexus upward. But if I drop too low, you have to ask yourself, why am I down there? Am I dropping low to show my flexibility and athleticism? That's not the point. The point is to transfer energy through your elbow into the target using mass in motion. Again, from the side. Let's talk intent. Intent is very important because it will ensure you're focusing on the right parts of your body. On contact, I want my partner to feel like I'm trying to push through them as opposed to simply land in this position. So when I reach the target, I want them to feel like if we were both stationary that I'd push them over because this leg is driving downward. As I do that, my hands will be manipulating their upper body to create a larger opening and to further emphasize the attack and hopefully exaggerate my attack. Now, for the block, I'm going to pair this with a classic circle block. The block is done in front of the body and my torso follows my block. So think of it as a shield that you're using and you're following behind your shield. The block serves the same purpose. I'm intercepting, deflecting, receiving an attack, and my body's coming behind. So the classic mawashi uke that's performed for the elbow strike is 1, 2. The opposite hand is loaded on the side of the body as I prepare for the delivery of the round or furihiji, round elbow. Set, block, grab, attack. Set, block, grab, attack. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big believer in a kata that's continuously evolving. So at the beginning, it will be practiced as such. Set and cut. Move and block. Finish moving. Strike. Set. Move. Block. Strike. So a protocol that I use here at my school that I find very effective for training students is the following. Look, move, set or prepare your defense, block, execute your defense, strike. So look, move, set, block, strike. We've made a Konchiwa masterclass, and this is a format that we follow throughout the entire course. You want to visually assess danger, then move your body to a better position for counterattacking or for receiving the danger. You then execute the block, not after you've moved, but once you've started moving. You then complete the block and then attack. Okay, so let's do this a few times. Look, I'm obviously looking in the direction. Set, move, block, strike. Look, move, set, block, strike. So I've done it 2 different ways here, and depending on your coordination, you can do either. Look, move, set, block, strike. So at this point in my class, I will have observed. Okay, we have 4 learners over there who have got it. 3 over there have kind of created a problem with their stance. So I separate these issues. Okay, so this is a personal question for you. Let's assume that you're comfortable making shikodachi and you're really focusing on the circle block. So we'll combine moving and blocking. Set, move and block, strike. Now you're going to be dropping as you're blocking, so you're going to have the benefit of tearing their arm down with force that's augmented by your body dropping. We want that. So we want the tearing to be fueled by our body dropping. Last time, set, adjust the foot, move and block, strike. As a general rule, I try not to be lower than this. I want to be fingertips at the knees. This is an angle that really works for my body for application. This is how I like to practice my kata. Body upright, hands here. The hand symbolizes the target of the body. Okay, it also symbolizes the area I would be grabbing, and I want to strike between the space because I'll always be able to find my hand. My hands, as a principle, are magnets. They know how to find one another, and I can deliver without really worrying about missing that target. Let's now advance the skill and strike as we move. So now I'm going to block en route and then strike as I finish moving. So I'll have the force of my body dropping and landing, augmenting the elbow strike. So let's do this one slowly. Set, move, block, strike. So the linear sequence of events is more front-loaded. I perceive the danger, I begin my block, my body shifts, I receive, and then pull in and strike as my body drops. So the first half is receiving the danger and then finishing with the attack. Let's take a look at it from the side. The kata asks me to have my right foot in front. Set, move, block, attack. Set, move, block, attack. One last time. If timing feels like it's an issue for you, slow your feet down. Your feet will determine what needs to happen and when. So if you want to buy more time to think, and whether it's a quarter of a second or a fifth of a second, these are small increments of time, but a lot can happen during that span. Just move your feet more slowly. Avoid cutting your block in half. Two primary functions of blocking are to avoid being struck, to avoid the danger, and to set up your counter. So, block, then strike, as opposed to block, strike. The elbow extends in front of my body and then pulls back as I hit with the point. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. It should feel like you're just running in and stabbing with that elbow. Okay guys, so we've just completed shifting forward and delivering our elbow strike. We've used our body to both drop and come forward, creating mass in motion, thereby increasing the force transfer. At this point, after my elbow strike, I'm going to push back and return to my right Seichin dachi. At this point, I'm going to perform